Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence.
But you have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
Football has been a blessing. It has changed my life and those around me. It has enriched a bond that teaches a family together. It has provided opportunities where there was just inspiration and determination. The thing I've learned along this incredible journey, I'll not only cherish for the rest of my life, but pass on to anyone who loves the game. Thank you, and go Seahawks, and I love Seattle.
All right, and with that, I'd like to welcome everybody here today to another edition of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks. I want to welcome all of our students we have at the Pro Football Hall of Fame today. I want to thank you for coming out today. I'm sure you really didn't want to leave school and come here today, so we appreciate you guys coming to the Hall of Fame. And for all of our online viewers who are watching us on Facebook Live, thank you so much for taking time out of your guys' day to view our program today. Our mission here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And the values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. All of those values not only make him the guy that's going to be sitting in this chair, a Hall of Famer, that get him this bronze bust, but it made him a better person, a better father, a better son, brother, member of his community. And the values that he used to become that person are the same values you guys can use to be great members of your community, great athletes, great students, and overall great people. And that's the message we want you guys to take away today. We're going to talk a lot about the game of football and how Mr. Jones impacted the game and some of his on-field accomplishments. But we're going to focus a lot on how important what the game of football can teach, those values, and how not only do they make him a great football player, they can make you a great person as well. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And before we bring our special guest, class of 2014 inductee Walter Jones in, for you thank yous we want to pass out. First off and foremost, thank you to our great partners at Extreme Networks. Without them, this program couldn't take place. They do a lot of great work for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and allow us to do this program, not only here in Canton, but in communities all across the country. So not only are your students here going to be able to view the program, but we have students all over the country tuning in to watch the program today as well. So thank you for all their support. Secondly, all the teachers and administrators, not only here in the building, but watching us live as well. Thank you so much for everything you do for the youth today. And thank you for allowing us to be a small part of the learning experience this year. And then lastly, our students. You know, without your program, you guys here, the program couldn't take place. Nobody wants to hear me talk for an hour. So we wanted, you guys are going to be able to kind of drive the program with your questions. I know there's a bunch of students in the back who have already been selected. They've got a question card in their hands. They're going to be ones asking questions throughout the program today. So for all of the students who have those, what we're going to do is we're going to instruct you to stand up to the microphone over here, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question. If you're in Canton here today and you didn't get a card, but you think you got a really good question, find your way to the back of the room, stay out of the way of the cameras, and find one of our Hall of Fame staff members or volunteers, and we will see if we can get your question as part of the program. And then lastly, if you're watching us on the Facebook live stream and you have a question, put your question in the comment section. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what school you go to, and your question. We've got people watching these that feed as well, and those questions will be fed in as much as we can to be a part of the program. We're excited, and I hope you guys are today, to hear from our special guest today. And I am proud to welcome a 12th season NFL vet, a 6-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, 1997 first-round draft pick, and current Hall of Famer, Mr. Walter Jones. Walter, first off, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. I know learning in the last session, you work a lot with the current Seahawks organization and doing stuff with their media. So Canton, Ohio is a little far away from Seattle. So appreciate you making the trip over here and welcome in and coming back to your second home here in Canton.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And we talked about this in the first session, but I think it kind of gives a good, framework of some of the things we're going to talk about today. We say second home. You're immortalized here in Canton for 40,000 plus years, truly forever, with this bronze bust on display. So what's it mean to walk through those front doors on a Tuesday in December, or even in August when everybody's back?
That's pretty cool. I think they once you come here, they make you feel good. They let you know that they understand what this jacket means, and they do a great job of that. I was just telling the guys, I said, when you come here for the Hall of Fame, they all the workers and stuff, when you get off the bus, they clap in their hands. So I told them, I said, when I come through the building, everybody just let them know Hall of Famers in the building, Hall of Famers in the building. But from a standpoint, it's just pretty awesome. Ever since, every time I come back, you guys take care of me, make me feel special. So you want to represent this gold jacket every time you put it on. So whenever you get a chance to come back here, coming from the West Coast, it's pretty cool to come back and kind of just, get your little ego stroke in and feel good. But it's pretty awesome, the thing that y'all do for us when we come back.
And you talk about wearing that gold jacket, having a bronze bust, not only being a high profile athlete gives you a platform, but obviously being one of the 354 Hall of Famers does give you a certain platform, more so than others. So how important it is to kind of take that with responsibility and use it to not only get a message across, but kind of talk about what you've been doing and things you've been doing after football, and truly talk about how great the game was.
For me personally, I try, as soon as I got this jacket, I said to myself, I will represent this jacket the best knowledge I can. So I try to be the best version of myself every time I step out the door. Even if I don't have this jacket on, people know, you have a different title, Hall of Famer, top 100, NFL this, NFL that. So you understand the pressure that comes. So for me personally, I don't see it as pressure. I just see it as something that, you work so hard for. You work hard for your name. You work so hard for your family. So anytime that you do anything, you want to do it at the highest that you can. And then every time you step outside, you represent this jacket and you represent the Hall of Fame.
You mentioned hard work, and that is for things on the field and off the field. A lot of the ways that how cool the game of football is a lot of the life lessons you learn from the game, you can then apply to your everyday life. I mentioned in the opening our values: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. Out of those 5, is there one that stands out to you as maybe not so most important, but one that you kind of looked at in your career and how the game of football taught you that value?
Me, I take the one. Integrity is all about, being the best version of yourself. So anytime you step out on the field, you do that. And an integrity thing comes from me being, you got to be accountable for everything you do in life. Say you get to a certain age, you have to be accountable. Or if your parents tell you to put your trash on the road, that's your job. So they looking forward for you to do that. And then it's the same thing on the football field. My job is to protect the quarterback blind side. So I take that upon myself. That's what my job is. So I'm very accountable for that. So it's a team sport, but still, again, everybody have a role. So that's the thing that I take from it, that, the integrity of it, that I'm going to do it the right way and continue to keep doing it the right way as long as I can.
You mentioned working as a team, and I think the huddle kind of represents that. It doesn't matter what college you went to, rivalries go out the window. Maybe not all the way, but they're still there. Where you grew up, all that goes out the window. If you're one of the best 11 that can do his job the best, you're going to be in that huddle. And I think that applies so much, obviously, to the game of football, but then, it can be applied to the corporate world, the classroom. For students here today, how important is it to recognize that team is something that you can use even if you're in a science class or you're out on the football field?
For me personally, I take that as being accountable. You take a football team and you study all week, you know your plays, but then when you get on the field, you have to be accountable what you can do, and it just be like your work. If you get a group of kids and you got to report, and all of a sudden everybody got a job to do. So now, if this person said you got to do this, that's your job. So when it all come together, you got to say I'm accountable. They got to understand that he gonna get the job done. He gonna get his part done. So I would take that into the point of schoolwork. Anything you're doing at home is all about accountability of what people telling you what to do, and you're doing it at a very high level. So that's what I would tell those kids, is always be accountable for what you're doing. If you say you're going to do it, hold your word. Your word is the thing that people are going to take. That's the only thing that you can control in your life is your word. If you say it, do it, and get it done.
All right. We're going to start with our questions down in the back of the room. So whoever's the break, all right, we're going to go right on the end. That's what you get for sitting on the end. You're up first. All right. Go ahead and state your name, what school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey. I go to Theodore Roosevelt High School, Canton, Ohio. Do you feel as though you could have done anything better or differently in your career?
Wow.
I'm sure there's a big game you played in maybe in February.
I know, right? I think that's the number one thing. I think of when you play this game, you put in all the hard work, and then you have an opportunity to win it all. For me personally, we didn't. I see some guys with some jerseys on that, the team that we played. So we had a chance to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl in 2005. And that's the one thing that I try, I think about it all the time. I know, right? I know. But you know what? You can't take anything back. I think I gave everything I had to that game. So it doesn't bother me, but still, and again, I wish I would have been the first team to win a Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks. So you think about that all the time, even though, the cool thing about that situation was the year that they did win it, that was the first year I got into the Hall of Fame. So it was kind of like bittersweet, but still, and again, I got a chance to share that because what the Hall do with all the guys that get enshrined, they bring them to the Super Bowl. So they recognize you right before the game. So for me to get in that time and get a chance to be represented by my team in the Super Bowl. So that was pretty amazing. But I would have to say the 2005 Super Bowl, not bringing that home was probably the toughest thing about something that happened in the league.
We talk about Super Bowl, everybody knows it's the epitome of the NFL season. That's what you're striving for. And every player at the individual level, they strive for the gold jacket, the bronze plus. But as a team, you want to win the Super Bowl. What is it like? Is it as surreal? And we talked about this earlier. Is it as surreal as it seems on TV? And do you truly take it as like, holy crap, this is a Super Bowl? Or are you just trying to say, all right, it's just another game. Just got to prepare as we normally do. We still have another opponent that we have to go out.
You know what? The hard thing about the Super Bowl is just so much going on. I tell people all the time, I said, actually, the NFC Championship game is probably the bigger game in the end because that's the game that gets you there. And then once you get there, you have to win it. And I tell people all the time that one thing that I hate about what I didn't do was coaches, like you said, coaches will say it's the same thing, do the same routine, do everything. So me personally, a lot of my friends, a lot of my linemen would go out and do a pregame walk the field to see how to feel. And I said, no, I'm going to stay to my routine. I'm not going to go outside. But now I hated the fact that I didn't get a chance to see all the hoopla that goes on at pregame. So I didn't do that. So I said to myself, if I got back, I was going to do that for one game where I would go out and take it all in and see, okay, I've made it to this point, but I didn't do that. But, still again, you're still a game. You want to play the game the right way. And I tried to do it the right way throughout the whole season.
Had the odds stacked against you, to be honest. You got Jerome Bettis from Detroit, last game of his career, Super Bowl, hometown. It's just the odds were stacked against you.
Are you trying to get me to walk off the stage?
No. All right, we're going to go to our next question. Go ahead, students, up to the microphone. Go ahead and state your name, what school you go to, and then ask your question.
My name is James Blair. I go to Woodridge in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Besides being inducted into the Hall of Fame, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment and why?
Oh man, I have a couple. I don't have one. I have a couple. I think getting drafted in the NFL, I think that's the dream that you have. I said, once you make the decision that this is a dream that I want. This is something I want to do. So you have these goals of what you want to do. So getting drafted was one of my goals. Another comes for me was the birth of my kids. I have twin girl and boy twin that are 22 years old now. So I'm very proud of those that, they made it through the process. They're young adults. So I'm excited to see what they become as young adults, and being able to be the first team to represent the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl. So that was pretty cool accomplishment. So those are my accomplishments throughout my career.
You mentioned being drafted by the Seahawks. You were a first round pick, as we mentioned in the beginning. And, kind of comes with the territory is that you're expected to come in day one and make a difference. You're not the mid-round guy that maybe a team took a chance on. You're a proven guy, first round, know that they can come in and make a difference. Did you feel any extra added pressure for that? Or for you, you're just like, hey, I got an opportunity. I'm going to take the most of it. That's
the approach I took. I was more of like, just wanted to get there. Like I said, I set my dream to get there. It wasn't about me being a high draft pick. I just wanted to play in the NFL. It didn't matter. I knew wherever I got into the NFL, it's going to be more money than I ever had in my life. So it wasn't about that. But I give credit to the NFL. I give credit to the Seattle Seahawks for giving me an opportunity to change my life, change my family life. So from that standpoint, it's been pretty amazing.
And coming out of a program like Florida State, there's always, not so much added pressure, but people know what Florida State's about, especially when you played late 90s, the battles with the U and everything down there. I'm sure we could spend a whole nother hour talking just about that. But what was it like to play for Coach Bowden, Bobby Bowden down there at Florida State? And how did he help you not only become a better football player, but a better person as well?
You know what, the thing I learned from him is all about just getting to know your players. I thought that when I went there, you deal with so many players, and I come from a family of 8. There's 4 brothers and 4 sisters and a single mom. And for him to come up to me, and like at that time, I know my brothers and sisters. I always use the joke. I said, I don't even know all my brothers and sisters, but he came up to me and be like, hey, he named out all my brothers and sisters and asked how they was doing. From that standpoint, I realized that the game of football is easy sometimes, but the friends that you make are people that really care about you. And I think Coach Bowden did a great job of that, of caring about every player. So, everybody can't coach, because now you have to know everybody in this room. If everybody's on one team, you got to know everything about that one person. And he did a great job of that, of making you feel like, okay, when I'm talking to you, you're the most important person that I'm talking to. So I try to instill that in everything I do in life. If I'm talking to anybody, I want them to feel like they're the most important person that I'm talking to at that moment. So I take that from him, where, even though, people are excited to see you, but when you're talking to them, you want them to feel like they're the most important thing when they're talking to you.
And you look at that, a lot of athletes I assume we have a lot of athletes in the room watching on our live stream. The easy thing to do is when they look at somebody as a role model or mentor, they look at their coach. Yep. How important is it? And for you, it could be a coach, teacher, parent, whoever it might be, but how important is it to have somebody in your life like that, whether it be a coach you had in high school or college, a teacher? How important is it to have that role model, that mentor in your life?
Oh, it's very important. I can go back to my high school coach, so when I got introduced to football, I didn't start playing until I was a freshman in high school. And my older brother had played and broke his leg. So my mom was like, no more sports. I can't afford it. If you get hurt, I can't afford it. So we didn't play sports. And then as a freshman, I got recognized, and my coach wanted me to bring me out. And this coach really kind of saw something that I definitely didn't see. He told me, you're $1 million walking around broke. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, I'm just trying to get lunch. I'm just trying to eat. So from a standpoint of that was the guy that kind of said, you can do something. You can play this game at a very high level, and you can make a lot of money, and you can change your family life. So once I heard that, I was like, I'm in. So I put everything I had into it, and, I'm sitting here with you right now talking.
Pretty well, yeah. Pretty good. All right, we're gonna go to our next question back here with our students. Go ahead and step up to the microphone, your name, your school, and then your question.
My name is AJ Costello. I go to Stowe High School, and my question is, who influenced you the most in your life, and how or why did that person do?
Right into it.
I would have to say my mom. My mom was the one that kind of fought for us, made sure we had something to eat, made sure we had a roof over our head. So from my standpoint, that showed me the hard work and determination of something that you want. And the cool thing about my mom was always about, supporting all her kids and what they was doing. She never kind of, talked about it or at first she was against football, but once I realized that this is something I want to do, she supported me 100%. And she didn't know a lot of the stuff. She didn't understand, especially when the NFL stuff started talking. When I started going to colleges, she didn't understand what was going on, but you know, she was behind me 100%. She said, if this is something that you want to do, I'm going to be behind you 100%. So I have to say my mom, you know, because a lot of times we don't see it until we're done of all of the hard work and stuff that they do for us, you know, getting us to practice, making sure we eat some, making sure our clothes clean, making sure all that. So I would tell all you guys, if you playing sports, make sure you tell your mom and dad, hey, I appreciate whoever's getting you back and forth to practice. Let them know that you appreciate that. You know, that goes a long way in your life. So just take that heed, that make sure you appreciate those people that are doing things that maybe you don't see it now as a player, but just let them know that you appreciate what they do for you guys.
All right. Next question from our students. Go ahead and state your name, school you go to. Man's got Seahawks football.
How you doing?
What's up?
Seahawks fan.
Awesome.
I'm Xavier Preston. I go to Stonewall Falls High School. And I just want to know, what was your favorite NFL moment like of your career?
Oh man, my favorite, you know, that's so many. I would say getting drafted probably was my favorite, because I think when you put so much work into this game, and you know, some guys don't make it. So for me personally, to be able to say that I got drafted by an NFL team, I got drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. So I take great pride into making sure that I represent that league as much as I can, you know, because I understand that even though I haven't played for 10 years, I still represent the Seattle Seahawks. So for me, getting drafted and being able to play the game I love, to come at a job, was pretty amazing.
What was it like playing for the organization? You know, we look at Seattle today, everybody knows 12th man, loudest stadium, I think in recorded history. What was it like playing in that atmosphere half of your Sundays throughout the
it was pretty awesome, you know, coming from a rural place in Alabama. You know, I tell people all the time, like, you know, some guys, you know, I was sitting in these same seats. So anytime you get a chance to let people know that, hey, I was sitting in these same seats. So it was pretty amazing for me personally, coming from that, to be able to play in a city where I didn't have to worry about tickets and stuff like that. I could just play the game of football, and then to be a part of a fan base that loves the Seattle Seahawks. You know, and that's not taken from any other team, but when you got a team that loves their players and they know about their player, so every time you get on the field, you want to perform at a very high level for those, because they pay them a lot of money to come and watch you play. So anytime you get out on the field, you want to get them a good product.
Now we've seen that, you know, you say you remember that team, the first Seahawks team to go to the Super Bowl. And we've seen so much success, you know, since that point up till today. What most excites you about the team we see on the field now? We just had our Seahawks fan. We're going to stick talking to the Seahawks here. What most excites you about the team you see that they throw out there every Sunday?
I think that, you know, right now, you know, I'm assuming everybody's, the record is not, you know, we have been winning ever since, you say Russell Wilson has been there, but I think the standard have been set, you know, what it takes to win. And we just got to get back to that. But for me, I like that part of it. I like the fact that Coach Carroll is all about competition, getting better, even though the season, you know, now you'll have to really see what your coaching is about now. And I think when you're going through hard times, that's when you define what your team is about and what you can accomplish. So I think from now, you just have to constantly, you know, just keep working, stay with it. And I think this team have done that. You know, I think Russell Wilson is probably one of the best faces for this team. He got to understand what the fans want to hear. So it's just a matter of just sticking with it, being patient, but still, again, they have set the standard on what it takes to win.
You know, you're kind of in a unique situation. You know, a lot of players towards the end of their career, you know, they start to bounce around. A few teams keep that career going. You know, you played the entire career in Seattle. As a person who did that, what's the connection like to the team now? Is there a great connection, or do you feel like you're able to go back and still be an influence to that current team and, you know, kind of pass that wisdom on to some of their current players?
Totally. I think that's a cool thing. I think the Seahawks do a great job of bringing in back the former players. So a lot of times, you know, for me personally, I was a visual person. So I'm always listening. You know, you can listen to a person and you can probably take one thing where you'll take it with you. So for me personally, I'm always trying to encourage those guys, because I don't go searching out those guys, because I look at it, these guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. But if you need my help, I can't take this knowledge with me, but if you don't ask for it, I can't give it to you. So I think the Seahawks does a great job of doing that, you know. And for me personally, I don't need much, but they do a great job. I can go in the building when I want to. They have me doing gigs for them, meet fans and stuff. So anything I can do to represent the Seattle Seahawks, I'm down for that.
Awesome. All right, we'll go back to our next question now. Go ahead and state your name, school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
I'm Anthony Wagner. I go to Stowe High School. And what was the toughest place for you to play on the road?
Oh man, the toughest place, I have to say Kansas City Chiefs. I think that was a place where, you know, I think a lot of people understand how loud they are. I think Seattle and Kansas City have been neck and neck every year about the loudest crowd. So, you know, going against Derek Thomas, guys, you know, it's just so loud. I would say another team. I don't know if you guys watched the Monday night game. It was hard for me to watch it last night because I'm from the West Coast. So I'm used to watching games at 5:20 and not at 8:20. So I was trying my best to stay awake because I'm looking forward to come on at 5 o'clock and don't come on to 8. But from a standpoint with the Buffalo Bills in their stadium, it's so cool to give you that feel of playing in a big high school game because it feels like the crowd is right on top of you watching it, playing the game. So that's a pretty cool crowd to play in because it gives you that feel of back when you was playing high school ball where everybody was right on top of you, literally can give high fives to people in the stand. So it's pretty cool setup.
All right, next question from our students. Go ahead and state your name, school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Ariana Crockett, and I go to Theodore Roosevelt. My question is, who is the first Hall of Famer to congratulate you when news broke that you made it into the Hall?
My first Hall of Famer that congratulated me, I would say it was Andre Reed. Andre Reed, because we went in the same class. So what the Hall of Fame does, I think I want to say this probably was the first year they did it where they brought they get down to the top 15 finalists. So they bring all those players out to the Super Bowl the night before the game, and they do the knock, whereas they was doing a phone call at the time. And once I got the phone call that I was in the hall, and then they'll tell you what you got to do. Okay, go down to the second floor, go into this room. It's almost like a secret. You can't say nothing. Don't text nobody because they got to do it on a live show. But as soon as I walked into the room where they had all the Hall of Famers was, the first person I saw was Andre Reed. So that's a great question to ask me that because he was the first, because he got in the same time. So he was already in the room. So I would say Andre Reed was the first person that congratulated me for being a Hall of Famer.
What was that? Let's go through that day a little bit.
Okay.
What's that day like to go through kind of the sitting on pins and needles to wait for a phone call?
Yeah.
And then what is there a sense of relief? Are you excited, elated, nervous? What is that next step once you finally find out?
You know what? It was not as stressful because you get to that point, you're like, okay, there's nothing I can do. Once you get to the top 15, you just got to wait for your call. So now you like that day was so long. You try, and my son was my presenter, so he was there, and we were trying to kill time, but I was reading the itinerary room, so we were just hanging out. Then all of a sudden, we got back to the room. We had like an hour to get ready. So you got to think, I'm trying to get ready, trying to get my son ready and stuff. So once I got the call, it's kind of like I have never told this, but as soon as I got the call, the guy was telling me I made the Hall of Fame, blah blah blah, this, that, and then the next thing that came to my mind was I thought about those guys that didn't make it, because now you've been around those guys for the last 2 days. And then all of a sudden, now you don't make it, you go this way. You make it, you go this way. So for me, that was the experience I had, and that shows me that part of the game where you build these bonds with your players, and you want everybody to be successful. So from that standpoint, that's when I said, man, I know a guy that should have made it, he didn't make it. So I think for me, from a standpoint, it was more of a sadness and a happiness at the same time. Like I was happy I made it. But then I thought about those guys that's waiting for that same phone call. That phone call was saying, no, you didn't make it this year. So from a standpoint, that was my introduction. Like I thought about those guys more than the guys that made it, because those guys had worked hard too, and they well deserved to get in there too.
And I think it goes back to the whole idea of, playing for a team throughout your career. And that's one of the things, your first instinct wasn't, yes, I made it. It was, oh crap, there's 10 other guys that didn't make it.
Exactly.
So I think it goes back to how great the game of football is and truly everything it can teach. All right, next question back here. Go ahead and state your name, your school, and then go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Zach Babachek, and I go to Malvern High School. And what excites you most about the future of the NFL, and what is one thing you'd like to see change?
Okay, I like the celebration. I think that's pretty cool for the team. I think a lot of times they try to take it away, but I think the NFL is doing a great job of letting the guys, because I think even some of you guys play at big schools and stuff, and y'all understand how tough it is to score. So anytime you get a chance to score, you want to celebrate. As long as you celebrate with your team, I think that's a cool thing, because you put a lot of work into this. So if you get in the end zone or you make a sack or something, you want to be able to celebrate. And I think the other thing is I hate can the quarterbacks get hit just a little bit? So, but I totally understand that. And I think guys go to the game to see the quarterback if your quarterback ain't there. But I think a lot of time they give a lot of credit to the quarterbacks and protecting the quarterback, because I look at it, if you're playing football as a violent sport, they have to feel what goes on in a true football game. But I totally understand why they do that.
You talk about, having fun, the idea of celebrating.
Yeah.
How important is it to, at the end of the day, realize you're playing a game for your career and just having fun doing it? There's so much pressure that gets wrapped up in wins and losses and the media and the news and all these different stories. But at the end of the day, how important is it just to kind of step back and go, you know, I'm doing what I love for a job. I get to play a game and I'm having fun doing it with people I like to be around. How important is it to step back and realize that?
Oh, it's very important, I think, because a lot of times I tell people all the time, when my son was playing ball, I used to tell him, I said, you have to find the joy. I know you guys practice in this cold weather, and some days you sit out there in that cold weather thinking like, man, or you got your buddies that's not playing and they ride by you and stuff, and you think like, man, I should be with them. So you have to find the joy and say, okay, this is what I'm doing, and I love what I'm doing. And I always say, if you're doing something you love, you never work. So if you enjoy it, if you want to be a part of it, you have to go through the rigors of the work that it brings to it. So, but that's the joy that you get when you step away. And then once you win it or you do something great, then you go back to those hard days in practice, or the day that coach decided the day was going to be a day of running you all day. And sometimes that can be a coaching thing, but still, and again, those are the tough times that when you do win it, you can go back to those days and say, man, this is why I do it. This is why I love the game so much.
Now, you did that for 12 years in the NFL, but just like everybody else, there comes a time when you have to walk away from the game. When did you know that that was the time? And was it a tough decision, or you're like, hey, it's on my own time, I'm cool with the decision, and I'm okay to walk away?
You know, I found out I had hurt my knee, and I was in rehab, but I wasn't playing. And it got to the point where my rehab was just like, it was consistently just rehabbing. And I was like, I said, I don't know if I can do this every day just to play. And I just made my decision. It wasn't like, you know, everything I've done in my life, I've done it on my own. I really didn't consult anyone. When I made the decision, I called the number one question I called, because, if y'all don't understand how contracts work, if you get a signing bonus, they prorate it. So if I end my contract in 2 to 3 years, now they can say, okay, well, you gave me all this money up front, but now you didn't finish your contract out. We need the prorated money back. I'm like, well, so the first thing I did when I retired, I said, hey, if I retire today, will I owe the Seahawks any money back? They said no. So I said, cool, so I'm retired. So that made it, that was the deciding factor for me to do. But then I was banged up pretty bad. So when I made that decision, I felt pretty good at walking away.
Now, the transition out of the game, I think it's, you can be really, really good, really easy, or really, really tough. The people you see in stories, kind of come back after a year or two, they stay retired. There's always the idea that they may be like Adrian Peterson is a great example. Everybody thinks he's retired, comes back now. He's played 2 different teams, playing for Seattle now. How was that transition for you? And coming out of football, how did you kind of keep your nose involved in the game a little bit? Or you're like, hey, I'm done, let's cut all ties and start something new?
You know what? When I first retired, I went that route. Because once you retire, you have to reset yourself. So when I retired, I really enjoyed the rewards I had. I enjoyed my home and stuff. I was really enjoying. But then one day I was sitting down and my son walked in on me, and I was like just hanging out. And he was like, man, this is nice. And I didn't want him to think that, I didn't put in the hard work. He thought like it's going to come easy. So at that point, that's when I started thinking about, okay, what do I want to be about? So what I did then, I started my own clothing brand. I wanted to do something different. So I started my own clothing brand, and then an opportunity presented itself for me to get on TV. I do a post-game show for the Seahawks called The Fifth Quarter. I do that every Sunday after the game. So that's been fun. I've been doing that now for the last 4 years. I do a radio show. So it's pretty cool to give back. I think a lot of times people want to hear your side of the story of how you see the game, because, we played the game. So you can analyze it different than people that probably haven't played the game, but still you don't take nothing away from them. But from a standpoint of giving my knowledge of the game, it's been pretty fun.
Now, a lot of people, they try to get themselves, a lot of people start a business, open a gym. Yeah. You got into photography. Out of all the things to start to pick up after your career, photography, was it just something you had always been interested in? Was it a passion project? Was it something you just picked up a camera one day and said, hey, I'm going to try this? What was that for?
What happened, when I was playing, when you go on family trips, you take pictures and most of the time nowadays, everybody got camera phones or you got some kind of small, but these cameras that they use in the stadium are pretty high tech cameras. So for me personally, I was telling the guys, hey man, I take pictures when I go out with my family, but I really, so he's like, why don't you come out for a game and take pictures? And it gave me a different perspective of taking pictures. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that everybody have an eye for something. Even if you pick up the camera, you learn a lot of stuff. I think the hardest part about taking photography is the editing part. You have to make a decision on what you think is a bad shot. But then once you get that perfect shot, that's the one. Like I got a shot of this. I have to give a credit to the Sounders, the Seattle Sounders. They gave me an opportunity to go to the game and take pictures. So now I have like one picture now in the stadium. I said that was a goal. That was only in my mind. I never said it to anybody that one day I wanted a picture in it. Because you walk through the stadium, you walk through the halls, and you see all these pictures. It's like, I'll hopefully one day that I can get a shot that can get in here. So I was able to do that. And, it's just been fun to get a chance to see the different perspective of the game, where now with taking sports shots, you have to almost predetermine what's going to happen. So that's been fun for me to be able to do that.
How important is it for students, even in high school, middle school right now, to try and find that one thing they're passionate about? Because I believe, if you find that thing early, you're able to set yourself up for life down the road. If you're going to be a pro athlete, if you're going to be a photographer, if you're going to be a teacher, how important is it to kind of find that passion for something that you like at an early age?
I think to find it at an early age is pretty tough. Because I think a lot of times guys have, at this age, you're thinking about so much stuff. You got so much going on. You hear stuff that's going on. So, but I think if you want to be a professional athlete, you have to put the work in now. You want to play, even to be a professional athlete, you got to go to college first. So I would tell them, most important thing is to put your studies first. Because I was the kid that didn't put my study first. So when I was in the lesser grades, I wouldn't do my work, but then I didn't realize that those grades can affect you when it comes to your senior year. So I would tell you guys to definitely take your studies serious. If you're thinking about playing this game outside of high school, just take your studies serious, because that's going to be the number one thing that's going to affect if you want to go to this school or not go to this school. So definitely take your studies serious.
All right, we're gonna go back to our students now for our next question. Go ahead, step up to the microphone, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Frank. When you went to Florida State, what was it like to play for Coach Bobby Bowden?
It's amazing. I think for me personally, like I said, I wasn't the best kid in school, but I was able to put the work in to get there. And like I say, a God-fearing man, a family man that really, he was all about trying to make you the best person, not the best football player, because he understood that he had great players, but he always wanted you to be great young men. So every time that I step on a stage, or I'm representing FSU, I'm representing the Seattle Seahawks. So I try to do that every time I go out, because even though I don't play for Florida State right now, I don't play for Seattle, but every time I go out somewhere, represent, that's what I'm representing. If I do something wrong, those are the things that they're going to say. He used to play for Florida State, he was the Seahawks. So every time I step out, I have to recognize that I'm representing the FSU, I'm representing the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, next question from our students there in the back. Go ahead, again, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Kira. I go to Strasburg High School, and my question is, if you could have played with another Hall of Famer of your choice, who would you choose?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It's just not tough, but I would have to say my Hall of Famer that I say if I could have played with, and I know it'd probably be weird because we play the same position, but I think it would have been cool to be able to see this person and see how he prepared. I don't know if you guys know his offensive lineman named Anthony Munoz. I would have it'd been awesome to kind of just see how he prepared, how he watched film, how he studied, just to kind of just be in his, just see his process on how he became great. So I would say probably Anthony Munoz would be the Hall of Famer that I wish I could have played with when I was in the pros.
One of the cool things about being a Hall of Famer is you get to come back for Enshrinement Week powered by Johnson Controls and be around nearly 100 of the Hall of Famers. When you were enshrined, where there's a guy, you mentioned Anthony, was there another guy that you set out like, all right, I've got this week, I'm here, I have got to talk to this Hall of Famer?
I don't, you know what? I didn't ever think of it like that, because I think when I got here, I was pretty nervous. Like, I didn't see him until I was at one of the guys' party. I saw Lawrence Taylor. I'm like, man, I'm going up and talk to him, because I remember thinking, and I went up to him and talked to him, and he was more of congratulating me more than I was like a fan. And he was like, he knew all my stats and stuff. So from a standpoint of that was pretty cool. So, for me personally, I just tried to give credit to those guys that came before me. So I respect those guys, because those guys have so many stories. So when you get a chance to hang out with those guys and talk with those guys, it's pretty cool to just be around those guys and hear their stories.
What's that week like? And now you kind of a perspective of a guy who has been enshrined and gone through the detailed schedule every day, where you got to be, what you got to do, but you've also been able to come back now and take it in as, almost a fan. What is the differences like, and what was it like for you to go through that process of getting your jacket, unveiling the bus, giving your speech, and going through the whole process?
That was stressful. I think, that's because you're as soon as you step off the plane, once you get in Shrine, you get in. The craziest thing about it, you get in Shrine Super Bowl Sunday, so you don't have to do anything until Hall of Fame weekend. So you got another 6 months of just waiting, anticipating, you're working on your speech. But once you get here on the property that Thursday before the enshrinement weekend, it's very stressful. It's a lot of work, but you put it in, you're at that point. So it's a lot better when you come back the next year and you don't have to worry about that. But it's pretty stressful, and you always question, are you deserving to be here? And when you get a chance to meet other Hall of Famers that congratulate you, then you feel like, okay, yeah, I deserve to be here, because I know that I've done everything I need to do to get to this point.
Awesome. All right, next question from our students there in the back. Go ahead and state your name or school, and then go ahead and ask your question.
I'm Eli Johnson from Strasburg High School. My question is, what is one moment in your life when your character was tested, and how did you get through that?
I'm gonna use something else. I used something earlier, but I'm gonna go. I think the number one thing was I had played so much. I think when I had my first knee injury, that was tough for me, because you play the game. We are labeled as gladiators. The coach don't want to see us hurt, don't want to see us on the sideline. So for me to be able to come back from a knee injury to continue to keep playing, I think that was the toughest thing, because I never been on the sideline. I never was not at a game. I would never play it on Sunday. So for me personally, that was pretty tough to get over that. But unlike, we talked earlier, it's all about just stepping back and understand that you still love this game. This game has given me so much. So for me, that was pretty tough to go through that surgery, go through the rehab to try to get myself back.
When adversity like that strikes, and it can be an injury or something in the students' lives, where did you go to kind of regain your confidence and get over the fact that they're like, you're banged up, you're a little hurt, and there's a good chance you might be hurt again. Yeah. How do you regain your confidence to get back out there at 100, 110%?
I think you just have to kind of you have to step away from the game a lot and to kind of look at it from a standpoint of, okay, when I get back, how is I'm going to be better? And I think if you take that drive when you're doing your rehab, I think once you go back, you understand, you kind of go back and watch film. It's kind of like you're doing a reboot. So I think from that standpoint, you just have to kind of figure out, what's the best thing for you right now? And the hard part is just sitting on the sideline and getting yourself better. So you just work harder and harder to say, okay, when I do go back, I'm going to be at a 100%. I'm going to be great. I'm going to be good and consistently keep doing the things I need to do.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go back to the back now for some more questions. So go ahead, students, make your way over there to the microphone. That might need to be lowered. Oh, we're good. We got it.
Good job.
My name is Antoine Buchanan, and I go to Richmond Heights Elementary School. Who was your favorite teammate in college and the NFL?
Oh man, that's make sure y'all edit this out now, because I don't need to be out on the social now. Because I have so many guys, man. I can't name just one person. I could go back when I played college ball. Running back Warwick Dunn, great player. When I was at Seattle, I have to give a shout out to all my offensive linemen. I have to name all those guys. Robbie Toback, Steve Hutchins, Chris Gray, Sean Locklear, Matt Hasselback, what's up? Sean Alexander. So, so many guys, man. Some of these guys to this day, we're still friends. We always get together. We go on fishing trips, especially with the O-linemen. So I'm assuming, I don't know if you guys do it. I don't know who my O-linemen are in here, but most of the time with O-linemen, we always kind of migrate together. We like cows, cows are always together. They're always moving in the same direction. So I have to give a shout out to all my offensive linemen, because we are the glue that keep the team together. Even though we don't get the props for it, guys, but hey, keep working, keep pushing, man, because we the one that keep the team rolling.
I think it's cool. Everybody always talks about how important it is of teamwork and working together as one. And I think you look at like you said, the offensive line unit is usually the group that's the closest. It's the hardest circle to break into, to be a part. Why do you think that is? Is it just because you spend so much time together? Is it the position you play? Is it, we mentioned in the first session, your offensive linemen don't really get recognition unless they screw up, and then that's when they get the recognition. But how is it being a part of that offensive line when you're not maybe the most popular person on the team, the quarterback's getting all the recognition? How do you all come together so close together?
I think it's probably the only position where you're all in the same huddle together at the same time. Like everything works together. Like if I go the wrong way, if somebody can get hurt. I always tell people all the time, I said the difference between me and a defensive lineman can go the wrong way, get a sack, and he's a superstar. I can go the wrong way and get somebody hurt or get the quarterback hurt. So I think it's all like a bicycle chain where everybody working together. If you don't get your job done, nobody gets their job done, because everybody can have the perfect block, but then if your guy on the backside ain't getting his block done, your running back's in the backfield, now you're not getting the job done. So now we all have to be on the same page. We have to communicate the same together. So it's kind of cool to be together, because you have to get to know a guy personality, what he's all about, and then when you get on the field or you be put in that fire, we all got to go through that fight together. And once we come together as a team, that's the only one unit that everybody got to be on the same page when they're doing plays.
How important is that aspect of team? When we think of team, we think of sports, obviously, and working together as one, but your family's a team, your classroom's a team. How important is it to recognize that at an early age, kids in middle school and high school who are here today, that is such an important idea, and to kind of take that idea team with them throughout the rest of their lives?
You know what, I took it from me personally, from being on the team, I think I take accountability. Everybody have a job, I have a role. And once you know your role, that's your role every time you step on the field. So once you know that and you're accountable, if you know and you got to cut off the backside, that's your job. And if you don't get it done, then everybody gonna be like, well, you can't get it done. So I bank on being on part of the team. Is your part is being accountable. So if the coach say, hey, you got to do this, you got to get that job done. You're not going to be on the field if you don't get that job done. So it's all about being accountability and saying, hey, what I'm going to do is get this job done because I want to be accountable. I don't want to be the weak link on a team where everybody's playing great and you're over here not doing nothing.
All right, we got a few more questions from our students in the back. So go ahead, step up to the mic there, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Karion, and I go to Richmond Heights Elementary. How important is it to have a support group around you during your rough patch?
I think it's very important. I think I tell my kids all the time. I say, like, when my kids graduate from high school, they graduated from high school and they thought their little get together with all their friends, and everybody was going off to school and doing this. And my daughter was crying. I'm like, hey, do you want to go back to high school? She's like, no, I'm good. But the fact that you think that the friends that you make in high school are going to be your friends when you turn 30 or 35, you might keep one or two friends. Don't take that the wrong way now, because you guys are friends now, but still, again, you have a long way to go where you make friends. But for me personally, my support group is probably my family. I have some great friends in my life that are not this here because of what I've done. They are genuine friends that can tell me if I'm doing something wrong or if I'm saying something wrong. So always, if the person that you with or the friend that you're hanging with, if they're not motivating you to be better or be a better version of yourself, you don't need to be around those people. So that's what I try to do. I try to put great people around me that understands that. And sometimes you need friends that you just be yourself, be able to talk, that you don't have to worry about it's going to get anywhere. So just make sure that you put great people around you that support what you're doing, and that's going to motivate you to continue to keep doing what you're doing, motivate you to be great.
Everybody has that moment in their career, whether it's working here at the Hall of Fame, whatever it might be, playing, but specifically in sports, it's that, hey, I made it.
Yeah. And
for you, what was that welcome to the NFL moment on the field when you're walking out game one, practice one, you get in your stance, and you mentioned, and Derek Thomas is across from you. Yeah. Was there a moment like that with some other players, maybe people who are currently in the Hall of Fame, where you kind of had to step back and go, you know what, all the hard work, everything I've been through, I made it?
Oh, you know what? I think my moment of welcome to the NFL, I gave something different earlier, but I give a play when I got drafted by the Seahawks, and we was in a game. I came to training camp late. So the next game, the coach said, you're going in. And I knew a little of the offensive plays, but they had called some play out. I didn't have no idea what was going on. And I did whatever I think, and my guy got around me, got the sack, and I didn't know the words. And that was my first, hey, welcome to the NFL. You have to study. You have to be ready. When it's your number is called, no matter if you haven't done anything, you always have to be ready to go prepared to play. Like they say, if you're not starting, always prepare like you are a starter. So that was my welcome to the NFL moment when, I didn't know. They was calling out the play. They basically wanted me to slide all the way out to the guy, and I didn't know what they were saying. and it got beat for a sack. So I would say just always be prepared, no matter if you're not on the field, but just always prepare like you're going to be starting.
Was there anybody you felt like you had to prepare a little extra for coming in every week because you knew that they're like, all right, this guy's one of the best?
You know what? I think it come with the territory. I think as you play the game for a long time and people label you as this guy's going to come at you, every guy. It's never, for me personally, it's never the guy that I watch on film. It's the guy that's behind him, because a lot of times you don't get to see him on practice. You don't ever see him on film because he's not getting all the snaps. You're not, you don't watch him. So for me personally, I get nervous of the guy behind him because I don't watch. But the guys I play against, I'll study those guys. I make sure I know what they're doing. But there's always that guy that's coming in with fresh legs, or this is his moment too. So those are the guys I hate, because you don't see film on them. You haven't went against them. You might go against them in the fourth quarter. He got fresh legs. So those are the guys that I fear, because I don't get a chance to go against those guys as much as the top tier guys that are guys that are playing all the time.
I got some few questions here to wrap up, but I want to do one thing, and I'm not trying to call anybody out, but raise your hand if you knew who Walter Jones was before you came in this room. All right, that's a good amount. So I just want to
good job, Hall of Fame.
I just want to read some stats, you guys, just to show, tell you he's got a gold jacket, bronze bust, but this kind of puts it in perspective. You started 180 games for the Seahawks. In those 180 games, the Seahawks threw 5,500 passes. So 5,500 pass plays. Out of those 5,500 pass plays, Walter Jones only gave up 23 sacks. I don't know what the percentage is, but that is super low. And like we said, I'm sure there's a couple that you go back and we're like, well, that one probably shouldn't have been a sack. That one was the quarterback's fault. Somebody missed their block on this one. But reading those stats up, this guy, one of the best left tackles to ever step on the football field. So when you hear those stats, you hear someone like John Madden say you're the best player in football, or Mike Holmgren saying you're the best offensive player he's ever coached. What does something like that mean?
It just means that I did it the right way. I think once I step on the field, I try to be as consistent as I can when I'm playing the game. So I try to my best to do that. And for those guys, because you think about Mike Holmgren, you think about John Madden, of all the players, I'm guaranteed, you won't think of an offensive lineman to say that, but I feel like, I respect the game. I know how to play the game. So when I go out there on the football field, I try to represent that, to stay consistent, because we as offensive linemen, like you say, we don't have search stats to say, okay, he's a good offensive lineman. It's all about, like you say, giving up sacks. So I don't want my guy to give up sacks. So that was something that I really took to heed. Like I say, most of those sacks, so we probably can take 45 of them off there. It might have been
so under 20.
Yeah, 20. Totally under 20. Okay. Maybe in the teens, maybe. Okay.
I like that. We talked about the Seahawks today. You look at the game of football today, definitely and different than when you played. But looking at your left tackle position, is there a guy that stands out to you that either emulates you a little more, or you're just super excited to throw the game on Sunday and watch this guy?
You know what? I don't watch it like that. I get that question all the time, but I really don't. I get that. I don't do that kind of studying, so I just watch the game just like everybody. I want to see high scoring. I want to see big hits. I want my team to win. And that, I have, sometimes when I'm watching the game, I do kind of analyze the offensive line. I'm like, man, what was he doing on that? I don't know why he did that. So from a standpoint of giving my knowledge on what an offensive lineman should be doing, it's kind of seems like to me, like that's the thing that makes it fun for me. I don't go out there and like, I'm just going to watch the offensive line. No, I'm watching it for the game of football. So I want to see high scoring. And if a guy get beat, now when they do the replay, I might look and say, okay, he stepped wrong. He did this wrong. But I don't look at guys and try to figure out this guy looks like me or not like that. I watch it for everybody else. I watch it for see some good football.
Just like a normal football.
Just a normal football fan. Yep.
All right. Last question here today, and then we'll wrap everything up. But before I get to that, first, again, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. I know I can echo all of our Hall of Fame staff as well as all of our students here today. Thank you so much for being part of the program, giving up your time, flying over here to the East Coast. Well, not so much the East Coast, Midwest to do the program today. But last question here today. So much good advice that we've given out today. So many little nuggets of information. But what would your one piece of information you want everybody to leave here with today? If they can remember just one thing.
Oh man,
what is that one thing you want them to take away?
I would say just dream. Don't be afraid to dream, and don't let anybody tell you can't do it. If there's something that you want to do, if that's football or whatever you're doing in life, that you, like you said earlier, if you find your passion, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. So continue to do that. And hopefully that whatever I say to one of you guys, that it lingers in your head. And hopefully one day you guys can walk up to me and say, hey, Walt, you remember what you said in that meeting? it really stuck with me. So that's something that I always say, take something that you heard today and take it and try to use it into your everyday life.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series with our special guest today, Mr. Walter Jones. Let's give him one big round of applause. For all of our students who attended here today, thank you so much for making the trip to Canton. For all of our viewers online, thank you so much for watching this program. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time right here in Canton, Ohio for all of our Hall of Famer series. Thank you, everybody.